May 4th, 1970. The Ohio National Guard opened fire on a group of unarmed student protesters at Kent State University. The story is memorialized in Neil Young's protest anthem, Ohio.
10 soldiers and Nixon's coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming. 4 dead in Ohio. Gotta get down.
4 dead in Ohio was a terrible fact, but the history is much deeper. It's the story of people involved in years of protest and struggle, the attempts to suppress that struggle, and its escalation to the deadly shootings on May 4th. This is that story.
In the early 60s, Kent was a town left over from a long time ago. Coming down the hill into the town of Kent, you'd cross a bridge over the Cuyahoga River into an old heartland town, brick streets, old brick buildings, an old train depot, traditional kinds of shops and stores that support a thriving university.
Kent State University was a very unique place. It had the convergence of people, of ideas, and activism all coming together as one.
Wherever you would go, there would be artists, writers, theater, political people.
Reinventing American culture, our lives, our culture. I saw that everywhere at Kent.
Artistic people, culturally on par with anything that an Ivy League school or a West Coast school like Berkeley had to offer. No one was around to say, no, you can't say that, you can't do that. We were making up the rules.
The 60s are remembered as a particularly colorful decade. Hippies, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was also a decade of death, a decade that began with the assassination of Jack Kennedy, then later Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, and then the kids at Kent. Those people who were effective at changing the system paid a terrible price.
If you think about the 50s and even the early 60s, there's this pretense that everything is all right in America. And in reality, we're living in two very different societies, separate and unequal. We're living under a system of apartheid.
But that was starting to change. On May 1st, 1960, 4 black students sat down at a whites-only lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. This simple yet courageous act set the scene for a decade of protest and social action.
And people were compelled to act, compelled to do what I call get in the way. And that's what so many young people and so many students did, including students at Kent State University.
This is the east end or the back end of Kent State University. There's about 100 homes in this particular area. Only one rents to Negro students attending this university.
They refused me. They gave various excuses. One bluntly turned me down for being a Negro.
What do you plan to do with these names, sir?
These will be turned into the dean's office. He'll take proper disciplinary action.
James A. Jackson.
James A. Jackson.
The message was clear enough. Standing up for justice and change could put you at risk.